All right, guys, happy Wednesday and welcome back to the Nursing Investigation. I thought this week would be great to take a pause and just kind of talk about the predicament I was in. To even make it this far in nursing school, I must have beat some kind of odds. So, regardless of how it temporarily ended, how did I even get through all of this? How does a single mom on welfare, 2.0 GPA, post-domestic violence, struggling with mental health, even complete her nursing education in the first place? Welcome back. So if you know my history, you know I got pregnant at 18 years old, and then I had my daughter at 19. A few days after that, her father had stabbed me a few days after we got home from the hospital. He stabbed me about 24 times, then my mother, who was in the other room, and then he tried to take his own life or harm himself, one or the other. This really wasn't discussed much, so I'm not really sure what the intention was, but considering the entry wounds on himself, the investigation had thought that maybe he had tried to commit after he had done what he had done. So after this, obviously I'm a single mom now. I had to be on welfare. I'm living with my mom, who is also single, who does have a boyfriend, but they're not currently living together, so everything was separate. And I was like, I gotta go to work. So thank God I had a friend named Morgan who introduced me to one of her bosses at a pizza place. And I walked into my first interview, and poor me had these patches, this scar on my face, and I'm just kind of going over briefly what happened. I believe she let him know too, like, hey, I got a girl who's in a rough situation, but she really needs the money. I know she's gonna show up to work. So I ended up getting a job working at a pizza place for a while, working nights. So when my mother wasn't at work, she would watch my daughter and my other family members, so I could start to somewhat try to earn my own income and put my best foot forward doing what I could at the time. So of course that wasn't enough, and I had to get a second job working at a daycare as my daughter got older. So even in the economy at that time, one job wasn't cutting it. Two jobs barely even cuts it to even make ends meet. So because I'm working as a mom and a dad, so I was like, I need two jobs to fill in that gap. So I started working at a daycare, and I'm like, great, because my child needs childcare. My mom was getting sick again. She had a problem with drinking. She was an alcoholic. She did get clean when I had my daughter, wanting to put her best foot forward, but considering the circumstances of what happened, she did end up relapsing, and unbeknownst to me, she developed cirrhosis, and it became end stage pretty quickly. So I needed to put my child in daycare until she was ready to start preschool, so I could have adequate and professional childcare for the safety of my child. Now, I didn't have that every day, but at the time I was like, it's some professional childcare is better than none. So I then went the medical assistant route, and I got a job working in a primary care office at a hospital. I have worked primary care, endocrinology, gastroenterology, home health aid, where you see a lot, you deal with a lot, CNA work. So I have a vast experience of medical assisting and just tending bedside for basic medical necessities. So after I did all that, I was like, okay, well, my mom's dying. It was pretty evident something was wrong. And I was like, I need to make a change. So I was like, let me try to figure out nursing school. I finally found a school that offered nighttime classes, so I could work during the day and then go to school at night. Thankfully, if nothing else, at the time I did have family and a couple people to support me and watch my child, who I never saw for years because I was so busy working and trying to put myself through school. If I did not have that support system, I wouldn't have been able to go to school, period. So So at the time, because I was so poor, I was able to get some grants, some financial aid, and then working 60, 70 hours a week, overtime and all the things, I was able to cover the rest of the out-of-pocket costs. And then with the support I had of that childcare that could be covered, and the family support that could take over the rest of it, I was able to go to school. Now, in doing this, as I said, my mom continued to get more sick, and I had gaslit myself into thinking that it was okay to allow my mother to be put into a nursing home because it was temporary and they can at least make her stable, and I would be able to bring her home in the end once I completed nursing school. But of course that didn't happen. So I gaslit myself in the meantime, thinking, all right, a small sacrifice now, just like with my daughter, a small sacrifice of time will be worth it in the end when I can give her a better life than what we had now. So I thought the same thing with my mom. I could put her in a nursing home. You know, she would have that 24/7 care, maybe not the best, but she can't be home all day drinking. So at least we wouldn't make her cirrhosis worse. And then by the time I'd be done nursing school, I would have my license. I'd be able to care for her at home and nurse her back to health, I thought at the time. So in the grand scheme of things, I have no idea how I did it. I just did it. Also, I think this is a huge piece of the puzzle. After going through the domestic violence and the pregnancy, being so young, that was very traumatic. So I was put on some medications for my mental health, pain medications, and unfortunately, I had went to a psychiatrist and doctors who were prescribing medications illegally. So after being put on so much, I come to find out one day when I go to my appointment that the office had been closed. No call, no reason, everything's out of the office, everybody is just gone. Now, walking into the office, I felt it was a little odd that there was like a pharmacy in there, and the way it was set up and what I was being given, it felt weird, but I was young. I had no life experience. I didn't know. I was just like, oh, this person is gonna help me. Yeah, I'm gonna take the help and I'm gonna trust that I need this, this, and that to survive. And then at the time, after, you know, being stabbed and being put on some pain medication for a little bit, they weren't willing to refill that. Like, you were done. This is like when the opiate epidemic came to light more, and it was really hard to get a doctor to sympathize with you for pain because of everything that was going on. And I was like, I think I need this, not only for the pain that I have, but I don't think I can just stop, and I don't have time to stop. I don't have time to withdraw. Like, I need to continue my life. I can't stay home for a couple months. I can't go to an inpatient or outpatient rehab. I don't have the time. I have to keep going. So this office pretty much took care of me for a while. But one day when nobody was there, the call, I don't know how to say this, but when I tried to call, it was like out of service, like nobody's answering, the number doesn't exist. It was like this part of my life of this medication and this help I was receiving just disappeared. It's like it didn't exist, like can't even find it on Google. So I don't know what happened there exactly, but from what I can remember, I don't think they were doing things up to par. So I was dealing with a lot of mental health and medication adjustments. I don't think I'm ready to talk about that part yet because it's a lot to go through. I think that's I've been open about my history as far as medications and struggling with like being on medications for so long and withdrawing and having to continue your life. But I'm just not ready to dive into that yet because that's the only thing I haven't given you every single detail about, because I know it's a touchy subject and a lot of people like judge you, whether you're on depression medication, pain medication, anxiety medication. It's just not something I could cover in 5 minutes, but just know I wasn't going through this nursing process necessarily sober. Like, I did have that aid to help me get through. I did have some assistance with medication, which I really think helped me get through this process of nursing school. Not saying everybody needs that, but I want to say, like, it definitely helped me just make it through to the next day. And that's okay. If you need medication, that's fine. That's what it's there for. I just, in the recent years, as I got older, as I developed a frontal lobe and just started to see how that loop was never ending, I finally was just like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to be on anything, addicted to anything for that matter, whether it's helping me or not. I just want to try to be natural, because the state of the world financially, you know, the way pharmacies and insurance works, and this pharmacy could be out of stock and then you're screwed. Like, I don't know. It was just a lot. And I was just like, you know what? I'm at a point in my life where I can stay home and fix myself and withdraw, if you will. So that's what I did. So to date, the last few years, like, totally just, this is me. And I'm learning how to deal with life on my own without the aid. And that doesn't mean I'm never gonna get back on any medication. If I need it, I'll definitely discuss with a provider. But as of right now, I'm just trying to learn to deal with life. But some things, whether it's your medical history, family history, some things you can't necessarily fix on your own, and I'm open to that too if it comes down to that. So whether you're on medication, whether you're not, whether you want it, I just want to let you know it's okay. Like, go see a provider, go see a doctor, go see a specialist. Like, it's okay. If you want to do something in life and you feel like you need a little extra help, you feel tired, you feel depressed, maybe you're in pain every day, whatever is hindering your going forward in life and working towards your goals, like, go see somebody and talk to somebody about it and figure out the best route for you. And don't stop at one doctor, see a couple. Do your research. Don't just trust Google, but talk to people, join groups, see what other people did. There's a lot you could do for yourself. I don't want anybody to feel like they have to take on such a task on their own, because it was so hard going through all of this. And then nursing school in general is so hard. Hardest thing I've ever done in my life, to be frank. And then it got to a point, like, I was just so exhausted from doing all of this. I started falling asleep at work and they literally thought I was on drugs. Like, literally thought I was on drugs. I'm like, no, like, I was prescribed a sleeping medication because my mom is an alcoholic. You know, I live in Pennsylvania. I go to work in New Jersey. I drop my kid off at daycare at 6 a.m. I'm here by 7 at the latest. I'm working overtime. Then I'm going to school. I'm not eating right. You can visibly see I'm unhealthy. Like, and then I have to go, not only when I go home, I get my daughter, put her to bed, do all the things, feed her, and then I have to deal with my mom. And if you've ever dealt with alcoholics, usually at night is the worst, when all of that alcohol intake builds up throughout the day. And then for her at night, she was always in her darkest moments. Like, everything hit. As soon as it got dark out, as soon as it was time to go to bed, it's like she was coming to my door to argue. So I think it was the sleeping medication I was adjusting to that was making me tired. But yeah, I was just like, I gotta get this fixed. I gotta figure something out. So that was embarrassing, but thank God for that job at the time, the one I had at the gastroenterology office, because I guess they couldn't necessarily fire me because of what I was going through. Like, I probably could have done FMLA. It was full-time with benefits, like, and I was going through something medically, so it may have been a gray area. But regardless, I appreciate them not firing me, and unemployment and those things. Whatever the reason why is, they didn't fire me for having some trouble through the last couple months I was there. I actually really appreciated. I don't think everybody liked me per se. I think I was very misunderstood, but I'm still grateful for this day that they didn't necessarily try to make my life harder in that sense. Eventually, though, my mom did pass away, and I ended up leaving the job, but we'll get there in a second. So as I'm working at this job, I'm like, all right, I'm going to get this figured out. I'm going to get my mental health figured out, all the things. They worked with me. Things were getting better. And then there was a nurse there that had told me that I should go and get my nursing license because financially, like, I couldn't invest to be a nurse practitioner. I couldn't get my master's, like things like that. And she's like, well, why don't you just start with your license and basically you can bridge and work up the ladder at your convenience. And I was like, that's a great idea. I actually never heard of that. I didn't know that was a thing. She's like, yeah, that's what I did. You could even do an accelerated program and get it done faster. This may, solve a lot of your problems. So I appreciate, if it wasn't for them, I would have never gone through this process to begin with to even have a completed nursing education. So I signed up for school and they worked with me again without the support of having help with my child and being able to work around me and the knowledge of knowing there's different ways to get into the nursing field. You don't just have to go for your BSN. You don't always have to have prerequisites. Like, there's different routes you can take to get to where you want to go. Maybe a little more pricey, but it's worth it if it works out, So I signed up for school because I had all the support and the financials figured out. And then I actually also think a piece of me wanted to go to school because it keeps that little kid in you alive almost. Like for me, I had a baby, like I was literally graduating pregnant, so I didn't have that dorm experience. I don't come from a well-off family. I was never going to be sent to a great school to live in a dorm or with friends or anything. That was just never going to happen for me. I was going to have to do all this myself. So going to school was actually really nice that I could just be normal and like be a kid again for a second. Being with people my age again and just working towards something. It kept my mind off of the reality of my life. So it was like I could be a mom and still a kid again. So, but again, nursing school was a huge sacrifice when it came to my family, my daughter, my mental health, financially. But for me to do it, I don't mean to put myself down, but I don't think I was dumb at the time. But I'm not I'm not a valedictorian, okay? My English is tested daily, as you can tell. I'm just an average Joe. So for me to even complete my nursing education, poor, not the smartest, and for it to be accelerated, I think that says a lot. I'm no different than you. If I can do it with everything I've been through, you can do it. Actually, I was like, I know I still have it. And I let this be a reminder, guys. If you ever hear somebody say, I didn't care about my nursing education, or I waited, this came up out of the blue, I didn't care, this is just something, I forgot about. It's not true, because I still have my lanyard. I still have my, my ID card. Like, this is stuff I constantly look at every day that I still have to this day because that's how much it meant to me. Like, I still have all of my nursing books. Like, I do the admissions, I enroll, I get my ID, I get my lanyard, I get my uniform. Like, it's going good. It's going good. Everything is fine. I get through it, going to school 6 days a week. For about a year. For about a year, I do this. I work full time. I go to school about 6 days a week, part-time, and everything's pretty smooth. I get, work figured out, my mental health adjusted, medications, the support, like everybody's getting in a groove, like there's a routine a year in. And then my mom starts to decline. So in about March of 2018, in about spring of 2018, my mother does end up passing away in the nursing home. So anybody who knows about the medical field, who has been in nursing school or who has heard, you cannot miss nursing school unless you are dead or somebody is dying. So in this case, they did give me some time off, a couple weeks off, to go through this process, which I'm glad they did because it was a lot. It was my first time dealing with somebody passing away, especially that close to me, and to be responsible for all that, it was a lot. Especially with how it all unfolded for her, and the guilt I felt and what that has done to my mental health. So on March 5th, 2018, I had sent a message to the Dean of Nursing, letting them know, like, hey, I was ready to come back. I was ready to go. And I'll show you that here. I just kind of explained the situation, because once you go out for a leave like that, you have to let them know you're ready to come back. So that's exactly what I did. And actually, again, no reason not to trust them yet. Nothing bad happened. Everything was fine. It was so great that one of the teachers, the only one there was two I really liked, but one out of the two, she was like one of the runners of the school, and she had bought me a journal, and I believe she wrote like a nice message in it. I'll have to find it. And I just thought that was so kind, like for her to go out of her way like that. And I was like, I want to be a nurse like that. Like I see a lot of like mean girl nurses online, and like, oh, well, I'm a BSN and you're just a CNA and blah, blah, blah. Like, or just nurses who are just mean to like trainees, like, or just act like they're just better than. And it's just like, I don't want to be that nurse. I want to be a humble nurse. I want to be a caring and kind nurse. So that was one moment that I was really grateful for. And I thought that was so kind, because I don't think I haven't had the best experiences with people in the world. Not that anybody owes me anything in life, but when you come across a kind person who does things for you that you can't do anything for, like, it can really change the trajectory, I think, of somebody's life. You never know what somebody's going through. So aside from that, my actual teacher, she also had spoken to my class, and I think they had given me a card too. Like, they did something nice for me too. Like, the whole class, everybody was kind when I came back, because everybody was like, oh my God, nursing school is already, oh my God, like nursing school is so hard. Like, I can't imagine going through that. And like that teacher I had, my main teacher, she like had a whole speech on it. Like, she was just like, I can't imagine, this is so tough. Like, just a reminder to everybody, be kind, and just, this is the reality of, what you're going to school for, etc. But back to the mean nurses for a moment. Like, this was the contrast I was seeing. Like, oh, we're so smart and we're so pretty and we know everything and we're gonna be like the top nurses and blah, blah, blah. The class was separated over this matter, which I find so odd, because my main teacher, she was like a New Yorker. I think she was like Italian. So she was very outspoken and very like no BS, which I really loved. She had overheard two girls talking about me, and it was because my clothes had become so baggy from going through this process. I lost a little weight. And then in general, if you know me, I'm like a tomboy. Like, I love loose fitting clothing. Like, I would go back to like 2009 Y2K if I could, but besides the point, it doesn't matter. If you like baggy scrubs, like, give me those Grey's Anatomy surgical scrubs. Thank you. Like, that's just me. But regardless, they weren't being very nice. Like, after dealing with all of this, I come to nursing school and these girls are straight bullying me. Like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a mother. I'm like an adult now, and I feel like I'm back in 6th grade. Like, what is happening? And it was so loud, everybody heard it, and everybody started to say something, including the teacher. Like, she had a whole spiel on this too. She's like, I cannot even believe this. Like, this girl had just gone through XYZ and you're talking about her outfit? Like, who is you? So I really appreciated, again, I just started to see that contrast of what kind of nurse I wanted to be. I really appreciated those kind girls who defended me, that teacher who did when they didn't need to at all. Again, it was just like, you know, what kind of nurse do you want to be? So the girls ended up eventually apologizing after the whole class was like, why are you doing that? Like, ew, you know? So they ended up apologizing. They were never mean in the slightest again. And I don't think either of them finished the education, to be honest. But anyways, so at this point, you know, mom dies, I'm back in school. I'm evicted because that was my mom's house. Rent wasn't being paid, right? So, so not only does my mom die, but my whole life changes. I'm getting evicted. I am living off my savings. When she dies, I quit my job. I'm just like, oh my God, I'm on my own now. Like, thank God my grandparents let me move in with them, but they're on a fixed income. So now it's like, why don't I just live off my savings and go to school full time instead so I can be done with this process quicker? Because I took that time off, I think I was going to be like a semester or something behind. And I was like, oh, no. Like, and then it just so happened to work out that the full day, the full-time program during the day was right where I needed to be. So if I had switched, I would be done on time and I wouldn't be behind. So I was like, absolutely. Like, so I quit my job, lived off my savings, moved in with my grandparents, thank God. And now that I'm down one support system, I kind of needed to move into them so they could help me a little more. And again, I gaslit myself into thinking, okay, well, one, it's really good for the elderly to be around small kids. It keeps them young. If anything, I think it kept them around longer, but I can't prove that. So again, I think I gaslit myself into thinking, oh, well, if I finished this sooner, I wasn't able to help her. So can I help them? Can like this be a way I make it right? I'll have my license soon and I'll be able to pay your bills and take care of you because you helped me so much. But that's not how the story ended. So now I'm going to school 7 to 3, and this is more fast paced because it's full time, so even more accelerated. So when I'm coming home, I'm now just doing social media online. This is when social media really started to take off. So, which was great because I could work from home, still focus on my studies. Even though I'm passing by the skin of my teeth, your girl is passing still. So at this point, I'm due to be done school in a couple months. It was like September I was supposed to be done. So I'm like, all right, everything is groovy. I'm gonna be done school soon. I move out. I get my first little studio apartment. And I loved it. I wish I was still there to this day. I was like, okay, you know, I have to move on with my life. I can't be this burden on my grandparents. Like, looking back, I probably should have stayed with them. Like, if you're watching this, don't be in a rush to move out unless your circumstances are like really bad. If you can have somebody support you, whether that's financially, if you can live with them, whatever, like, don't be a rush to, you know, put the burden on yourself of living on your own, especially if you have children, if you don't need to. I think I rushed a lot of things just trying to do it all, and there's no medal for being independent and struggling and pushing yourself to the limit of breaking. So just think about that. But nonetheless, I was doing it. I was like, we're almost done. Your girl's gonna graduate. She's gonna get her license. Everything's gonna be groovy, right? No. So at this point, mom dies. I finish and complete my nursing education. I move out into my studio apartment. Everything's done. I get to the end and the predictor exams wait. These exit exams waiting for me. And I start to hear whispers in the hallway at this point. Getting closer to this time, I finally start to understand what is happening. Girls are crying. Full classes become like a handful of girls that are actually taking their NCLEX. And it was like only for a couple weeks, I think, if that. We started to take these ATI practice exams, but I really didn't put two and two together. Like, I didn't know that's what I would be taking in the future. And I failed them. I don't think horribly. I think around like a 60%, but nobody was really helping me learn how to answer questions. And when I look back now, I think I failed these types of exams, not because I'm not smart enough, not because I don't have the knowledge, but because nobody sat down with me and actually taught me that how to answer questions. When you take a nursing exam like that, or your NCLEX, all the answers could be right, but you need to know the safest answer, for example, or which step you're going to do first. So nobody talked to me about that. Like, we didn't have a course on actual NCLEX preparation. It was just us sitting there practicing questions. Well, what good is it for me to practice questions if I don't even know how to answer the questions? I was too concerned about, what was the right answer. Like, nobody educated me on how to answer the questions, if that makes sense. So I was really on my own at this point. I just remember sitting there and answering questions, getting to the exit exams, and I was pretty much on my own. And I really want to get into these exit exams because I know a piece of it looks bad. It's like, Clarissa, how do you fail an exit exam 4 times? They gave you multiple chances. And in my opinion, I'm not accusing, this is my opinion, this is my experience, this is how I see it. I feel like it's made to make me look bad. Like, if you can't pass those 4, well, then you don't deserve your license almost. That's how I see it. That's how I feel. So, I don't think the exit exams represent my knowledge and who I am as an unlicensed nurse, but I think it represents the lack of understanding of what was happening, and I didn't have that educational support to change anything. If I failed the first time, why would I pass the other times if I don't know how to answer the question? If somebody did actually remediate with me, which nobody did, I could have passed those. Like, it was like once I completed the nursing education, like, all the support stopped. Like, there was no more classes. Like, if you wanted to sit in the library with a teacher and answer questions, you could, or like do a packet. Like, everything was just about answering questions. But looking back, I'm just like, what good is answering the questions if I don't know why I'm getting it wrong? If there's that disconnect between, you're not picking the right answer because they're all right. You're picking the best answer out of all the right answers. You're picking the safest answer, or how to read the question and what they're really asking, because they try to trick you a little bit. So I think I really needed to understand the science and the psychological part. And I just wish they had offered an actual course on, taking these exams and more practice exams. Like, what if those 4 exams were more practice exams before I took the real one? But we're going to break it all down. Why I think I failed the exams. Everything I didn't know about the exams. And for the people who say, oh, well, nursing exams, predictor exams, exit exams are normal for nursing school. Okay, well, not all nursing schools utilize them. Many do not. So, secondly, I'm not arguing the use of the exit exam. I'm arguing about, my thing is like how it was applied in my situation and other variables. So I can't wait to get into that next week. But I also wanted to talk about this because if you ever hear somebody say, I forfeited my nursing license, my education, or anything like that, and I didn't fight for it, that couldn't be farther from the truth. There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that you haven't seen yet that you will. A single mom doesn't invest $30,000, work full-time, go to school full-time, deal with everything she's dealing with just to forfeit it over something she didn't even need technically to get her license. As far as the Board of Nursing is concerned, that just doesn't happen. Why would I just throw it out the window willingly? So instead of, I just want you to think about that before you come to any conclusions and ask yourself, well, why is it taking this long? You know, how did this happen? Why would she do X, Y, Z? Instead of assuming, and which is what I believe, in my opinion, people want you to do when they throw a lot of documents at you in their version of the story and it's thick. They want you to be so overwhelmed with information. You just take it for what it is because you don't have the patience or the mental capacity to ask yourself any more questions. Hypothetically speaking, in life, that's just what I've seen in the world. But next week, we're going to break down these exit exams, get into the nitty gritty, and really dive into what this whole thing is about and what it comes down to. A few questions and comments to end our video for this week. As always, Renee says, I'm sorry, I can't imagine how frustrating and devastating this was. I'm glad you have evidence that you repeatedly tried to contact them. Well, first, Renee, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you asking yourself questions and doing the due diligence and seeing everything I've offered and not only looking at one party's point of view. I think that's really smart of you, and I really like that. Thank you for your comment. Brianna says, you can't sue, ... I am. Thanks, Brianna. Penny says, you're a great mom. I hope you know that. Thank you, Penny. I don't know if I'm a great mom, but I definitely try and I strive to be, but I truly feel like I'm living in a mirror room sometimes. Like I just feel like no matter which corner I turn, no matter what's promised down the line or on the other side, like I always end up back where I started from. Like I just want to win once. Like I just want to live a normal life. Like that's it. And it's like, I hate to be so depressing and sad, but honestly, that's the reality of life. Some people are just dealt bad cards in life. Like, and there's nothing you can do except keep fighting. Like, I've never stopped. Like, I'm not sitting here complaining about XYZ. Like, I've literally had to fight for everything. Everything has to be ripped from me because I fight so hard. So I think that says a lot. So when you hear me talk about my struggles and things I've gone through, like, just know, like, that comes with the fight to get it back or to move on or to keep going. Because I think there's some confusion sometimes when somebody like me talks about their struggles a lot. People can confuse that with a victim mentality, just like people throw the term narcissist around every day. You know, everybody's a narcissist these days. But like, just because you struggle in life doesn't mean you're a victim, and that's only, you know, a few instances in your life. That doesn't sum up your entire life. And as long as you get back up, you try, you keep fighting, you try to find a way, like, that does not make you a victim. If anybody, you know, has a similar life to me, I just wanted to tell you that. Cats, Caffeine, and Vibe says, I am so grateful my program doesn't do this and never has. This is wild. I would like your comment if I could right here. Thank you for your comment. I'm grateful they don't do this too. A lot of programs are doing away with it in the way that it was presented in my program. There's a lot of regulations coming out, like New Jersey, for me, has a regulation that prevents nursing schools from doing this to other students, which is, you know, it's like the yin and yang. Like, that's great for the people who came after me, but what about the people who fought for that to happen? Like, what happens to me? But I'm grateful. I don't want anybody else to go through this, truly, so I'm glad to hear that. And a lot of schools are being sued for this, so it's something I think and I hope will eventually do away with in the way that it was applied with me, because it's not right to spend this much money and this much time just to essentially have your nursing education erased because your school needs to keep their first-time NCLEX pass rates, essentially to keep their accreditation. That sole responsibility shouldn't be put on the student. Granted, yeah, of course, I think it's important, but if, you know, you have almost full classes not being able to take the NCLEX, and what feels like and what it looks like to me, just my opinion, you're essentially hiding them from the board and the accreditation bureau if you're not letting them take the NCLEX. Are your NCLEX pass rates really accurate? And it's just like, why do you even give them a couple tries? You know, you might as well have just given them one. Like, if they didn't pass the first time, a lot of us didn't pass the second, third, or fourth. You know what I'm saying? Like, some girls did, but a lot of us didn't. Like, most of the girls in the class, in multiple classes that I've seen and I've witnessed, didn't make it. So I think that says a lot, and I don't think that responsibility should be put on the student for the school's accreditation. You can't accept 1 million people into the school, let alone with 2.0 GPAs like me, and then only let 5 out, hypothetically speaking. In theory, you know what I'm saying? Like, it shouldn't work like that. Or you can't accept somebody's $30,000, like in my case, give or take, for their nursing education, and then say, oh, well, you don't deserve to get your license because you may not pass the first time. Like, it just sounds ludicrous. Like, I would have taken that exit exam 100 times, and I should have been able to if that's what you wanted. Or, you know what, Clarissa, come back when you've done 10,000 questions. Like, I literally would have done anything. Like, there was so many better options than just saying, you could just repeat the program. You could just start at the beginning. Like, that's ludicrous. The information isn't the problem. It's just some people are not good test takers, and they need to know how to take the test, how to answer the question. You know what I'm saying? That girl, Cassie, says God has a plan for you. I hope so. I really hope so. Thank you. Angelina says most schools have an exit exam as a graduation requirement. We've touched on this. It's not the use of an exit exam. Some schools have gotten a little tricky and have tied it into the course. So therefore you fail the exit exam, you fail the course, but you can retake the course. Most schools have implemented like an actual predictor exam course where they're going to train you and they're going to teach you how to answer these questions. They're actually going to prep you, not just say, oh, just like answer questions in my case, you know, take practice questions. Or I don't know of any schools that have done it quite like mine. There's other variables that come down to this, but we'll go over that next week, the difference between mine and what other schools are doing now, because a lot of things have changed. But I don't think they should just be a standalone graduation requirement, in my opinion. I think they should totally be done away with because, you know, just to lose your whole nursing education over a predictor exam that isn't even guaranteed, that isn't even scientifically proven to be 100% accurate. Like, girls have failed their predictor exams and passed their NCLEX on the first try. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It's just my opinion and how I see it. So next week, we're going to start getting into the exit exams, how that unfolded, and get into what exit exams really are. How does that work in the legal system? And, you know, schools that have also done this, what students have done about it. Is there anything you could do about it if you're in my situation? So thank you for watching. It's my birthday Friday, so I wanted to take it easy this week and just kind of do a little life update as far as what was going on with me in nursing school, kind of take a pause and just kind of see me for me as I'm reflecting. Also, I didn't know that something is going on with the planets this month. I don't know if it's like a retrograde or something, but I was like, I find the timing so odd. I have to find this video because it was saying whatever you were going through in like 2017, 2018, the same, it's gonna affect you now. Like, it's gonna bring you back to that because of the way the planets or the universe is aligning or something like that. And I was like, that makes so much sense. So can't wait to see what the next month brings. I hope you guys have a beautiful week. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. I don't want to GoFundMe. I want to do this myself. I've seen a lot of those comments and I appreciate that, and absolutely I would, but this is something I need to do for myself. But all I want from you guys is to just listen to my story, and if you have any suggestions, I'm open to those, your experience, what you would do if you were me. anything like that. So thank you so much. I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.